Hi everyone, I'm Andy Wike. Almost forgot my name there for a second. I am here with my good friend Jeremy Reeves to talk about something super special, and that is the 2024 edition of Warped's Scarecrow. Now I know a lot of you guys have been asking about this blend, when it's going to come back, or like what the plans for it were. And we're very excited to say, yes, it is happening this year, and I really like this edition. Warped Scarecrow was released for the first time in 2021, and then we did it again in 2022. We did not do it last year. Last year we did a version of The Haunting, which was really cool. But we wanted to bring it back this year with Warped, and yeah, just keep it on that sort of cycle. So this year's edition, nothing has really changed about the recipe. It's exactly what you can expect. If you guys are low on your tins from a couple years ago, like, you're going to be able to pop this and get like that same experience right away. And what an experience it is. I mean, when we're talking about like autumnal like pipe tobaccos, it's like my mind immediately goes to Autumn Evening and then Scarecrow.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like even how it smells in the tin is like candy corn mixed with like some like kettle corn, and I guess it's like kind of corny. I don't know.
Yeah, your whole grab bag, from the end of the night and out trick or treating, like just what your bag smelled like.
Yeah,
there's like this mix of all these different kinds of candies. So yeah, I agree with that. I particularly get the candy corn a lot in the smoke. I think it comes through a lot. Yeah. But I also taste a lot of burley and
sure, it's very nutty. I think the actual smoke itself is very dense on the palate. Like, it's very creamy, and it leaves like a nice like after finish. Yeah, I mean, other flavors, I'm getting a lot of like dark sugar, like brown sugar, sort of like a caramel, like lightly toasted sweetness, which is really cool. But there's like a lot of natural sweetness in this blend too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's obviously an aromatic, so there is a top flavoring, but the actual components that go into this blend are all pretty high on the sugar scale, especially when we're talking about the bright Virginias and the red Virginias.
That's right.
And even red Virginia Cavendish. So to get a little bit deeper into the components this year, so there's actually some pretty interesting leaf in this blend, like more so than you might think, based on the what's on the tin. So there's some very, very old heirloom white burleys.
Yeah, 2014 burley. You've got Bright Virginia from Canada from 22.
22, yeah.
You've got some vintage Virginia in here that is just lovely and dark from 2013.
Yeah.
The red Virginia Cavendish, which we mentioned, we take, right now we're using crop year 2017.
Okay.
And it's a full-bodied upper stalk, mahogany Virginia, and we steam that for several hours and blacken it like Cavendish, and then it takes days to dry down from the steaming process. But what's left behind is sort of like lightly sweet, more Virginia toned flavor, but it's very much just it's a black Cavendish at that point. It's very absorbent, able to really kind of take on flavors from other tobaccos that you blend with, or from other flavorings that you're adding to it. But it still has that nice little Virginia character to it.
Interesting. Yeah. So I mean, even since before C&D was, part of the Laudisi family, like red Virginia Cavendish was always this like sort of proprietary, unique thing that C&D did, and it really elevates a lot of their blends, like including Autumn Evening, which we mentioned earlier. What's the sort of pros and cons, or like what's the unique experience from doing this as a Virginia instead of something like a burley that is the base component for most Cavendishes?
Sure. So your burley-based Cavendish old Cavendish is going to have a lot less of the overall leaf character than prior to cooking. You know, you're removing a lot of nicotine, you're removing a lot of sort of the characteristic flavors of those tobaccos, but you are not able to get rid of all of it. Like a Virginia leaf that has gone through the Cavendish process is still going to have a sweeter smoke. It's still going to, you know, evoke that Virginia flavor. It's just reduced.
Okay.
Same with burley or with cigar, or even if you Cavendish like an Oriental. I mean, pretty much any tobacco that you want to, you can turn into a Cavendish, like steam into a black Cavendish. The thing that you have to make sure that you have enough of, whether naturally in the leaf to begin with or through adding it, is sugar. Okay. So that it can go through that Maillard process, the same process that allows you to like put a nice hard sear on a steak. That's basically what's happening here.
Okay.
You
get that caramelization of flavors. Yeah.
Yep. So that's what's blackening, is the sugar in the leaf.
Interesting. So flavor profile wise, you know, as we're getting a little bit further down in the bowl here, I think I'm not sensing anything new per se, but I feel like all those flavors are starting to distill a little bit more. So like on the first slide, it was like, you know, these more pronounced sort of highlights of, you know, vanilla and chocolate and a boozy quality. And now I get further down, I'm getting a little bit more of those burleys, and then a little bit more of like the breadiness of the Virginia, with those sort of top flavors accentuating the natural tobacco taste more than sort of, you know, covering over them or something like that. So
yeah, I think the tobacco is really kind of building in flavor at the same time that the noticeability of the topping is sort of receding for me. I noticed that the burley flavor is getting bolder and kind of darker. One thing I really like about this blend is I think it has a really nice nicotine value.
I was just going to say, yeah.
Like it's not a crazy strong blend, but it's definitely satisfying, and I think it's, you know, it's like right in the pocket.
That's so true. I feel like, you know, I do like some aromatics. They're not, you know, I don't talk about them a whole lot, but like I do have like a pretty solid stable of arrows that I smoke. But one of my biggest qualms with aromatics in general is that they tend to be pretty light in strength, and like, you know, you guys know me, like I'm a nicotine fiend, let's be real. And so like I don't want to feel like I'm smoking air, you know, you know what I mean? Like I want it to, like I want to feel something, and I feel like this blend in particular, like it does sort of like it's surprising because it is so sweet, it is so like flavorful, but then like halfway through the bowl you're like, actually this has like a pretty good amount of strength to it.
I would compare it to like a medium-bodied cigar in terms of nicotine. It's just, I love the mouthfeel of it. I love that, like now I'm to a point where like even the added sweetness, those notes of caramel and candy corn, even kind of like the fruity sort of apple notes, those are like sort of weaving in and out, like they're coming and going for me. And what's really seeming to build is a much more natural base tobacco sort of flavor. I'm just picking up on, like, to me, if I don't retrohale, it smokes more like a Virginia Burley. Like it reminds me a bit of Briar Fox.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. It's interesting for me because I do feel like all the flavors are sort of distilling a little bit, but then there's moments where it's like, it almost feels like I'm walking through like a fall or like an autumn festival. You like all those like small towns have like, you know, this is the apple festival or something, like, you know what I mean? And they have all these little vendors. And so you'll walk and it'll be like, one guy's making like kettle corn. And then like another guy's got like some homemade candies. And like, oh, another guy's like smoking meat, right? And it's just like this like melange of like aromas and like experiences, right? And so it's like, I feel like going through the bowl, I'm getting sort of these like, I don't know, these like undulations of like different autumnal vibes, which is really cool. Like particularly like with it being like October now. I can't believe it, you guys.
Yeah.
But it is actually October, and I feel like this is a much needed sort of like, hey y'all, fall is here.
Yeah.
Get your pumpkin spice lattes and Scarecrow.
A much needed, here in South Carolina, a much needed promise of cooler weather to come, even though it's not happening right now.
Another thing, I think it's performing really well. Like, I mean, I've probably relit a couple times here, but like, it's really cool smoking.
Yeah, this is my first relight in the video.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a pro.
Oh no, it's hanging on, you know. My lighter, on the other hand, seems to be.
There you go. For those of you who don't know the story of Jeremy's lighter, that whole lighter used to be black. and over time, it's all the black is worn away, and it's this really cool thing now.
It looks like it was like, it looks like I've been like using a marker and like putting like camouflage sort of patterns on it.
It's like a Rorschach test, right? like what do you see? Oh no, my childhood trauma. Would you recommend any sort of drying time or preparation to people, or like specific pipes or chamber sizes that you might suggest to folks?
I mean, my suggestion of chamber size is going to be pretty like standard to the size pipes I tend to like. It probably isn't necessarily more like evolved than that.
Sure.
As far as preparation, I mean, I think all we did was tear off a chunk and rub it out and pack our pipes.
From a brand new tin, like we just popped it, and it was like, I think the moisture content is perfect.
Yeah,
I think because it's a cake, when you do like rub it out a little bit, it might feel like a bit like too wet for your comfort zone. But I wouldn't really give it any drying time. I think like it's performing super well. Jeremy's only had to relight like a half a time.
Yeah, I think moisture on it is perfect. The cake is really nice and dense, so you know, I would just like take, especially as you're just working with your fresh tin, take like a corner and sort of wiggle that back and forth until it comes loose, and then just rub that out, and then from there you'll be able to just find, you know, the new corner. Yeah, basically, and that's like your tear-off point. That's tends to be how I approach cakes.
It's like an everlasting cake. If only that were a thing. Maybe it could be. I'll just put an empty tin on Jeremy's desk, and maybe he'll give me like a fresh one. I don't know. Are you the tobacco fairy? I don't think he is.
Maybe. Yeah. Well, you know, a lady never tells.
Fair enough. All right, you guys. Well, that's been more Scarecrow. So it'll be only 4,010 per made for this run. So it's a pretty limited quantity. Like all warped blends, it's only available at Smokingpipes. So be sure to go and check it out on Friday. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you next time.
See y'all.